Everybody, welcome to Stats and Cohn on the Gold Standard Podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Grant Cohn. Grant, it's Wednesday, and I am excited because I'm going to be in Vegas next week. You are going to be in Vegas next week, and the 49ers will be in Vegas at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the only reason to stay in Vegas for more than like 48 hours. They have to cover a Super Bowl.
Wow.
Oh, hey, it's gonna be exciting. Better there than where was it last year? Arizona. A whole lot of nothing to do out in Glendale. So this will be cool. See what the NFL has in store for us. I mean, you're gonna be on Radio Row. I'm gonna be being a beat writer. It's gonna be exhausting. It's gonna be fun.
Well, the fun part is I get to be in on some of these press conferences now. So finally, I may actually be able to ask Kyle Shanahan some of these questions that I've been wanting to ask for so long.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you in action, man. Watch out. Let's go.
Boy, the day of reckoning is coming, Shanahan.
Watch out, Kyle. Watch out. Here comes Rob.
I want to get into Brock Purdy today because the more I've been just rewatching the Lions game on loop, like constantly. I can't get over it. Like I'm amazed at what we saw. I don't think people are putting it in the proper context, and I don't think people are putting what Brock Purdy did in the proper context. And I know you and I kind of disagree about that a little bit. So we'll get into that. And we'll get into, obviously, the Super Bowl and all that stuff and everything that is coming. But first, I want to give a little love to our YouTube channel partners, Community Tree Service. If you have a yard, I promise you, they will take care of it. They can do anything you need: tree trimming, land clearing, hazard tree removal, home fire hardening, debris removal from the Central Coast up to the Bay Area. Estimates are free. So get in touch with them. Call 831-763-2391. Email at estimating at cts831.com, or visit their website, communitytree.com, to schedule an appointment. Tell them we sent you, and you're a Niner fan. You get $200 off your quote. If you're a Chiefs fan, they're going to charge you $200 more. So don't do that. And by the way, you can feel good because they are licensed by the California State License Board, license number 1100816. All right, Grant. I always want to call you like your full name. Like when people say my full name, they say Robert. But I can't really do that with Grant. There's no like Grantholomew or...
You could call me like my middle name, like my mom used to. Grant Lawrence Cohn. Oh, don't do that. That's why I'm in trouble.
Okay. I think that Brock Purdy has broken quarterback analysis.
Okay, explain.
They don't know what to do with him. He is, you know how in America you are innocent until proven guilty? With Brock, it's the reverse. He's guilty until proven innocent. He sucks until he does everything to force people to deny that
he sucks.
He sucks. He's guilty until proven innocent. He just came down from 17 in a conference championship game, tied for the biggest NFC championship game comeback of all time. Third biggest in the conference championship as a whole. Mm-hmm. And people are acting like, number one, it was all the Lions' fault. The Lions gave them the game. And number two, Brock only made 3 good plays in the game and they were all runs. And I'm stunned by this. Like, that's been the narrative so far after this game is the Lions blew it. The Lions are terrible. Brock Purdy made 3 good plays. And that's what people are saying.
Is that what people are saying? All the people? I'm sorry, man. I took a class at UCLA when I was a sophomore called Evidence, and the professor would get so upset when journalists would do stuff like that. People are saying, like, who? Rob? Who says Brock Purdy sucks? I need to know. Because I'm going to go to his house. I'm going to knock on his door. I'm going to say, sir, I want a retraction. I want a retraction in writing because Brock Purdy is excellent. I think he's excellent. You think he's fantastic. Other people might think he's phenomenal. Sucks? Who says he sucks?
Jay Cutler on Inside the NFL said he's the weak.
Jay Cutler? Okay. Bless his heart.
Mina Kimes, I just listened to the Mina Kimes show. She didn't say he sucks, but she just pointed out the 3 good running plays and said the Lions screwed some stuff up, and that was really it in the game. Like, if Lamar Jackson made the plays in that Lions game that Brock Purdy made, if you just change the jerseys and just put a purple jersey that said Jackson on it, people would be going crazy for some of the plays that Brock Purdy made in that game. But because it's Brock and because he sucks until he's proven that he doesn't suck, even though he keeps proving it over and over again, it's just, the Lions.
Can I make a point? Like, so you just named 2 people. I think what you want is 100% of the people to be fawning over Brock. Because the way I see it is like 95% of the American public are fawning over Brock Purdy. And to get attention, certain people use their platform to disparage him and go over the top with it. It's fair to have not criticism. It's fair to have criticism. It's fair to have questions. He still hasn't played that much. He still has a lot to prove. So it's fair to have a lot of questions about the context of what he's doing. But when people come out and say he's this or he's that, he's not that good or he sucks, it's because he's the number one topic in football. What are we talking about? First topic on this show, Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Not are the Niners going to win the Super Bowl? Let's look at the matchup with the Chiefs. No. It's Brock Purdy. He's the number one topic in football. He led the league in Pro Bowl voting. Like my question is this the new face of the NFL? I know we like to talk about how disrespected he is, and maybe he is by certain people, but like people who don't have shows on FS1, people who just watch football are captivated by Brock Purdy. And he's sort of, as we can see, the Brock Purdy fans are a different segment of the population than the Lamar Jackson fans or the Patrick Mahomes fans. He has his own segment of the NFL fan base, and it's freaking huge. And I don't know if he's filling in for Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or a combination, but he's getting those comparisons. The NFL has had a tough time replacing those two stars in there. They're gone. And now you got a little Brock Purdy walking in who's just the most relatable, marketable, has the best story. I mean, I think he's the new face of the league, especially if he beats Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He's the new face of the league.
So I think what you're talking about is a difference between how maybe some general NFL fans feel about Brock Purdy and how the national media feels about Brock Purdy.
Sure.
And maybe I'm guilty of saying it's the national media. Chris Sims just went on a whole rant that I tweeted out yesterday. I love Chris. I worked with Chris at NBC for almost a decade.
Oh, Chris, too.
About how, well, you're going up against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and the only quarterbacks that have ever beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs are Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. And when you look, you compare Mahomes and Burrow to Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy looks like an 11th grade social studies teacher and all this stuff. And it's again, I don't
part of why he's the new face of the NFL. Like that, I think that we saw the same thing in the Bay Area with Steph Curry. When he was starting to take over, people just like, well, he doesn't jump high enough. He doesn't look like the 6'6", 6'8" face of the league you're supposed to look like. And then he changed everything. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's Steph Curry, but the fact that he looks different, the fact that he doesn't look like a superhero, the fact that he looks like your little cousin is endearing. And it's part of why I think maybe pundits don't like him, but pundits are always a little late to the party anyway. I think it's why the country loves Brock Purdy. Loves him. So it makes me laugh. I get on. So we're on here. We're talking about how disrespected he is. I go in my car. I'm driving down to Santa Clara. It's a 45-minute drive. I listen to Jim Rome. What's he talking about? How disrespected Brock is. Like that is everyone's topic. And it seems like, man, everyone in the world is defending Brock Purdy. I think he is the most defended quarterback in the league. That's the way I see it. Anytime anyone says anything about him, Amy Trask, Cam Newton, that person is tarred and feathered. Get out of town. You are no longer welcome in our football speaking way. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Brock Purdy's about to be a very, very rich man. He's 24 years old. He can defend himself. He's doing a great job. He's about to be a champion, maybe. Well,
first of all, I don't even think Amy Trask said anything that bad. I love it.
Nah, she's cool. I like Amy.
But I agree that there is a very loud vocal set of Brock Purdy defenders. In fact, Brock Purdy people that are making him out to be Joe Montana, which I'm not in that group either. But I think there is a very loud and vocal group of.
And to my point, though, when you're the face of a league like LeBron James, you're polarizing. You don't just get praise. You're freaking polarizing. There's going to be people that want to go on TV and say, you know what? This guy's not that good. Skip Bayless did that for LeBron James for 20 years.
Well,
right. I did that with Jimmy Garoppolo. I just happened to be right. People are trying to do that with Brock Purdy. And you might want to be careful, man. This is not Jimmy Garoppolo for a lot of reasons. Now, I'm not going to say that what he did against the Lions was like the most incredible playoff performance of all time. But you know what? It doesn't matter because as long as he wins the next game, that's all that matters. No one's going to give him style. You don't get style points for winning the game. You won. I think you won. Jared Goff lost. End of story. Now you get to go play Bowser in the final level. Can you win Super Mario?
But that's my point. I think it was pretty incredible. His performance in the NFC.
Well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, man. I'm not going to tell you to go get that phone number if that's what you want.
I'm stunned that people are reacting to it. Like he made play after play after play.
He hit Kendall Vilder in the face
So what?
Hit him in the face.
What did they get from that? Zero.
Huh? Hit him in the face. So there was a certain degree of luck. After the game, Brandon Aiyuk said he caught that ball because a ladybug landed on the shoe before the game. And now, like, it was that kind of a game. It reminded me a little bit of 2 years ago when they blocked the punt and no one knew where the ball was. It's just sometimes things work out. It worked out for them. You got to acknowledge that there was a lot of fortune in that game.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. You need both to pull up.
Yeah, you do. There's nothing wrong with that. No shame in that. Shame in that.
Here's what people say, right? Oh, that was a fluky play to Aiyuk. First of all, it got the 49ers 0 points. So they might not have scored. They scored because Brock threw a touchdown pass 3 plays after that on third down.
That's true. And
what down was that when they completed the ball to Aiyuk? I bet most people don't even know. It was first down. So let's say he doesn't catch it, right? They got the rest of the downs. They could.
That's a great point.
Drive. But people are like,
and it was a great catch. It was a great catch by Brandon Aiyuk. So you can't take that away. It's not like someone on that play had to do something extraordinary. It wasn't an extraordinary throw, but it was it was one of the greatest catches you'll ever see. So you get credit. I guess we're talking about like Brock's performance. It's fair to be like, well, I mean, there's some good, but like the team's performance, yeah, it's very impressive that they erased a deficit like that in 8 minutes.
The first play of the drive on the game, on the go-ahead field goal drive, it's 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line, and Christian McCaffrey, one of the Avengers, completely whiffs on his block, and the defender comes through totally unblocked and drills Brock. He shrugs him off, rolls to his left, hits Kyle Juszczyk right at the sticks for a first down.
Look, Brock is really good. He's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He makes plays. He uses his feet. He ad-libs. We know this. I compare him to Jeff Garcia, and I love Jeff Garcia. I thought he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks ever. So he's really good, but I mean, we're 12 minutes in, and we're not, because they won. We haven't even mentioned the interception he threw, which was awful. It was a Jimmy pick all the way. And then there were 2 other throws that hit the defender either in the hands or the face. And it's like, okay, it's cool. We're not going to talk about it. He's won. And if he beats the Chiefs, and no one's really ever going to care that Kendall Vilder almost, whatever. No one's going to care. But that's part of the story too. And let's say the Niners lose to the Chiefs. Brock throws 2 picks. The Chiefs don't drop them. Then you go back and look at those games against Green Bay and Detroit and be like, well, actually, he kind of was doing this, and they let him off the hook because they weren't as good as Kansas City and it was in front of our faces. Or if they win and just handle business against Kansas City, you go back and looking like, well, that didn't matter at all. Didn't freaking matter at all. So we'll see.
We got a bunch of super chats, and I do want to get to those.
I love super chats.
Thanks. Thank you to everybody. You're doing the thing, though. You're doing the thing that everybody does with Brock Purdy, which is...
I'm doing the thing.
Yes, there's a thing. All of the good plays are forgotten, especially if they're not touchdowns. And all of
No. Hold on. We just did 12 minutes of the good plays, and I just wanted to balance it out a little bit at the end. We didn't mention the interceptions for the first 12 minutes. I think that's fair.
The interception was a bad play, 100%. But all the other plays, like, oh, well, this could have been an interception or should have been an interception, they're treated like they did happen. Like they actually...
No, it didn't happen. Again, we didn't mention it for 12 minutes out of respect to Brock Purdy. Didn't mention it, but it happened.
Right. It happened. And also a lot more other good plays that I haven't even mentioned happened too. And nobody's talking about those. It's only the 3 runs. That's it. It's just the 3 runs.
The throw to Juszczyk, spinning out of that sack, throwing to Juszczyk. The throw he hit where he got blasted.
Yes.
I mean, if you really watch the game, you know that there were many. The throw where he like fadeaway jump shotted it to Jawan Jennings. There were many plays. The guy is a playmaker. He's not a game manager. He takes chances. What game manager would throw that interception? I mean, not to harp on the bad. It's just like, it's who he is. Debo wasn't open. He was like gonna fit that ball into a tight window. God love you for trying, but like, he's not can't call him game manager. He does want to be a gunslinger. He is a playmaker and a game changer. He just takes some risks that he doesn't necessarily need to take on this team. But maybe he'll have to take them against the Chiefs. Like, that could be a high-scoring game. I don't know.
I feel like the highlight packages, those plays aren't in the highlight packages, and they absolutely freaking should be. It's the 3 runs, and it's the McCaffrey touchdown. It's maybe the field goal, and it's the Lions on 4th down. I think if any other quarterback had that exact same game, they would be getting so much love, especially now with all this time to fill before the Super Bowl. And yet with Brock, It's literally, he was called the weak link by Jay Cutler. The weak link after.
Dude, it's Jay Cutler. And again, let's compare them. Jay Cutler is the antithesis of Brock Purdy, right?
Well, yeah.
Right? Jay Cutler was a top 10 pick. Jay Cutler's 6'4". Jay Cutler can throw the ball 80 yards. He can spin it. He can drive it. Like, he's the old prototype for what you want in a quarterback. Was he like, could he process like Brock? Could he see the field like Brock? Did he make decisions like Brock? Hell no. He even played for Shanahan. So I think it's easy for, it's predictable that Cutler would feel this way about a quarterback like Brock. And to your point, he really has broken quarterback analysis, because how do you look at a quarterback who can't throw the ball 70 yards, who can't drive the ball on a line, who's only 6 feet and a half inch? How do you look at him as elite? Because those things don't freaking matter. Look at Jared Goff, dude. He's 6'4" with a cannon. Doesn't matter. He's a game manager. What matters is your mobility, your feet, your creativity, your field vision, your decision making, your accuracy. That's what matters. And I think you have a really good point. I think people are figuring out what matters with quarterbacks. It only took them, 100 years?
I'm stunned that he seems to be getting treated differently than other quarterbacks. Like, literally I don't want to keep going back. And
I know it upsets you, but what I'm trying to say is, like, the only reason national pundits are doing this is because he's the number one topic in sports and people love him. And so you stand out by being like, I'm the guy who says Brock sucks. Although I don't think people say he sucks. You stand out. You could be one of the million people that says Brock's underrated. Who a million people do that? Emmanuel Acho, the spreadsheet, on and on and on and on and on. And I'm sure you get a lot of Niner fans patting you on the back when you say that, but nationally, you probably get more. Oh, what did he say? He doesn't like Brock? How could you not like Brock? He's such a nice guy. He's Christian. He loves God. He doesn't make that much money. He shops at JCPenney. He doesn't have tattoos. He's the most wholesome. He drinks milk at dinner. He's the most wholesome person in the world, Rob. In the world. He's squeaky clean. People freaking love him. I'm just saying. Easy to hate on a guy like that.
In the same podcast, the latest episode of the Mina Kimes podcast, they say Patrick Mahomes did an awesome job against the Ravens because he managed the game. He did an awesome job managing the game, and he knew he didn't have to score more than 17 points because the Ravens weren't going to score. So the analysis with Patrick Mahomes when he scores 17 points is, well, he didn't want to score more against the Ravens. Good job, Mahomes, doing that. That's what I mean. We know Patrick Mahomes is great. He's an all-timer already. So whenever he has wins, we're going to twist his performance and we're going to compliment him. But we've decided that Brock Purdy stinks and has to prove that.
Why am I defending Mina Kimes? But I have to. Look, he's playing the Ravens defense. We saw what the Ravens did to Brock. Brock turned the ball over 5 times and didn't finish the game. So Patrick Mahomes didn't turn the ball over. He didn't throw a pick. That's what she's talking about. Like, you're going against the best defense in the league. They can win the game. They can make you lose the game. He didn't lose the game. He only scored 17 points. But Brock, how many points did they score with Brock in the game? 13? 10?
In that Ravens game, I don't remember. And
like 13.
It's not specifically about Mina. I love Mina Kimes. I think she's one of the smartest NFL analysts. But it's just, I feel like as a whole, the sports media, when we've decided whether players are good or bad, we'll take whatever performance they have and twist it into, well, here's why it was actually good. And with Brock, I feel like we've decided that he's bad. The national analysts have decided
he's bad.
Good. The national analysts, name one. You named Emmanuel Acho, who's barely out there as a national.
Richard Sherman loves him.
Sherman does love him. That's true. But Sherman, he's a little.
No. Who does? So who hates him?
Nick Wright hates him. Florio and Sims have not really been on the Brock Purdy train yet. Everybody on the inside the NFL.
Not on the train, you hate him.
Channing, no, not hating him.
The train.
They're not giving him the credit that they would give to other quarterbacks that did the same thing.
Fair. I stand by my point that it's a way to get attention online. Hey, everyone's giving Brock Purdy credit. Let me be the guy who doesn't. That's how I felt about Jimmy Garoppolo. I was like, everyone is giving this guy a ton of credit. Like, I need to go out of my way. To say this about Jimmy. But I felt like I was right. I think with people that do it with Brock, it's hard to feel like you're standing on business when you're saying he's not good. Like, man, he wins all the time. Like, he makes plays on his own that Jimmy never made. Yeah, he has the weakest arm of the starting quarterbacks, but it doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, he's 6 feet tall. Who cares? It doesn't seem to matter. So he's not the best quarterback in the league, but he's excellent. I think everyone should be able to agree on that at this point.
Let's get to.
Although if he throws 4 picks in the Super Bowl like he did against the Ravens, all bets are off. Brock, be careful, man. That gunslinger in you.
I don't feel like he's some turnover like machine too. I don't feel like he's as risky with the ball as people make it out to be, because he threw 1 interception against the Lions and had a bad game against the Ravens.
I mean, he gives defenses their opportunities. It's whether or not they do anything with them. And that's, I think, a big reason why ideally they keep him to around 25 pass attempts a game. You get him up 35, 40. The other team's going to have 2-3 opportunities to pick it off. I mean, some of these defenses don't do anything with it, but this is a really good defense. They're not going to whiff.
They are very good and excellent defense. But I don't think that like Brock Purdy has 2 or 3 dropped interceptions every game. I really don't. I think that is a perception that has happened because
in the last 2 games, in the playoffs, that's what's happened in the last 2 games. And he had a bunch of drop picks against Seattle and Dallas last year too. So maybe not in the regular season, but these are the playoffs. These are some sophisticated defenses with sophisticated game plans. Just don't force the ball into that intermediate area like you do, man. I know you want to throw that pass, but let it be open. That pass to Debo shouldn't have happened. He was never open. That was a bad decision.
That was a
forced pass.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Like the ball to Aiyuk, if that guy, that's a hell of a catch if that guy makes the interception. We laugh because it hit him in the face, but he's diving backwards. That'd be a hell of a catch if he made the interception. Like, it's not like the one to Darnell Savage, which was right between the 3 and the 6.
That's true. Let's be fair about that. So Aiyuk wasn't open on that play.
He was not.
But Purdy says he's one-on-one. I'm going to give him a shot. And the defender's in such good position. He's in better position than Aiyuk that he can sort of bump Aiyuk off his track and camp under the ball. And it looks like the ball's overthrown when really it really wasn't. And that's why they threw the flag and picked it up, because they're like, actually, he was in good position. So yeah, it was the interception was just something that I even wrote about it. I talked about it. I wrote about it. I was like, man, the Lions are going to be trying to take away that intermediate area, because you talk about how you can layer throws in there and fit throws in tight window. That's your area. Don't force it. You don't have to. You can take shots deep. They'll be open. You can check it down. It'll be open. Don't force it in that one area. And he did it one time. And I'm telling you, like, don't do that against the Chiefs. That one pick could be the difference. Just don't do that. Play within yourself. Be a little bit more of a game manager. Could win the Super Bowl. You'll be a legend. No one will care how you did it.
Yeah, we'll find out if that actually happens. Let's get to some super chats. JCG 1987. Did you see the clip where Bosa's talking to Brock in the locker room and asks how he has the confidence, and Brock responds that he can be better? This was an awesome clip on Inside the NFL. I didn't
see it, no.
You haven't seen it, go watch it. They had a bunch of clips, which I wanted to talk about. So this is a perfect setup. Thank you. After the game, it's Bosa and it's Brock in the locker room. And it's just them having a conversation. And Bosa's like, did you think that you would be this good, that you would do what you're doing? And without hesitating, Brock just goes, honestly, I think I could be better. Like, immediate response. And I'm just like, that dude is a freaking killer, man. He looks like, Kirk Cousins, Heidi Ho, whatever. He is a freaking dog. And I love it. I feel like if you have a quarterback, the famous Joe Burrow line, the Super Bowl window is my whole career. That's Brock. He just doesn't say it publicly, and Joe Burrow does.
Yeah, absolutely. That's his mentality. I love it. There's another clip I saw. This one killed me. George Kittle. You saw this? He's going around to like everyone on the sideline telling him the joke he's going to say after the game, which isn't even original. He just wants to say that line from the meme. They had us in the first half. I'm not going to lie. So he keeps going to people on the side and no one laughs. So he's trying other people. He goes up to Brock, who's watching, standing the game, like locked in. And Brock doesn't even look at him. Brock never reacts.
Brock is laser.
Brock never reacts. Like, dude, and you could, if it was like a cartoon, you'd see the thought bubble, like, grow up, George. Grow up. It's not funny. I think we're playing the NFC Championship game. Like, leave me alone, man. Leave me alone. I thought that was hilarious. I really respect Brock Purdy for having that kind of mentality.
There was actually a couple of good clips from Kittle, because yes, he was doing that, and he did do it to Brock, and Brock is just like laser focused. But also, Kittle went up to Brock and was pumping him up, like, don't change anything, be who you are, you're the man. And then, and I love this clip, Kittle goes up to Chase Young and he says, I need the best version of you right now. And like,
oh my God.
What have we said about Chase Young, though? Talent is there, but he doesn't always like put it together. And I just love that George was going around trying to get the most out of him, trying to motivate him. And I feel like it helped.
I feel it. At some point in the show, we're about halfway through. Can we talk about the Chiefs offense against the Niners defense, that matchup? Because the Chiefs offense is way different than it was 4 years ago. And I think it's an interesting dilemma to talk about at some point.
Yes, I will write that down.
I know we got some super chats. I just don't want to write it down. Mark it.
I will write it down.
You don't have to. Make a mental note.
People are waiting, and they're
important.
I appreciate everyone. Let's go to James Welsh. Says, I don't know if Brock will be a great quarterback for years to come. I do know that I was impressed with him in the second, but that he's been so lucky in this playoff run, and you hate this, Rob, but he's interception prone. He has 11 picks this year. 11. I would not call that interception prone. I wouldn't. It's not like Dak Prescott from 2 years ago. That's not what we're dealing with here.
Okay. You're not concerned. Rob is not concerned about the interceptions. I love that. He's not concerned.
He had 4 in one game. Without that game, he had 7 the rest of the season. Like, I don't think that he's like, Jay Cutler or something like that.
I'm not saying he's Jay Cutler, but he does throw the ball with anticipation. He does, brag about how he fits passes in tight windows and layers throws over around defenders. And
where's the quote from Brock where he's bragging about how good his intermediate throws are? You said
he says that what did Mark Schlereth say that, that if you watch the tape, you see that he can layer throws and he can fit balls into tight windows. I mean, he's talked about the fact that he can do it. He can fit balls into tight windows. He was trying to on the interception that he was throwing to Deebo Samuel, who was triple covered. Like he thought he could do that. So, I respect it. I respect it. He thinks he's as good as anyone. He won't come out and say it, but he thinks he's as good as anyone. And you have to think that. He's not supposed to go out there and be like, I am the 8th best quarterback in the league. Right. And if I act like I'm the 5th best quarterback, I'm going to get in trouble. Of course not. But you're the best. Believe it.
You have to have that attitude.
Have to have that for sure.
Official B&A Music says the straw man nonsense got to stop. Brock's a dog, and super fans need to quit treating him like he's their brother. Quit acting like Nicki Minaj fans.
I don't understand the reference. I know she's been having a tough time on Twitter.
She was going after the Stallion. I know that, but I don't know anything more than that.
And Nicki's like 40 now, and see, you can't beef with people younger than you on social media. It looks bad.
Chris Waddell, YouTube channel member, says, doesn't happen often, but I 100% agree with Grant. To add to that, I think the people like Lombardi that act like he's the best quarterback ever is part of why the other side has pushed back a little harder.
Yeah, it's fair to say that. I think that's fair to say that. People like me, I'm not trying to go out of my way to be like, hold on, let's take Brock down a peg. But it's that conversation that Brock isn't even involved with. The spreadsheet conversation that says Brock is like Joe Montana or the best quarterback in the league. It's like, okay, well, we have to balance this conversation out because that's ridiculous.
There was actually an article. I don't know if you saw it.
I did.
Forget who wrote it, calling out Lombardi, basically.
It was in the Chronicle.
Yeah. For being
yeah. He didn't respond to it.
Stunning. More from Chris says that throw wasn't as bad as you think. Aiyuk got misdirected and it would have been difficult either way. That made it look
fair.
Thrown.
That's fair.
That's fair. Touched on that. Yeah. Too Much Sauce says Super Bowl 58, Steve Wilkes last game coaching the 49ers. Think so.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I want to come back. Hold on. I want to come back to that throw again one more time. Okay. So it wasn't a bad throw. That's a good point. It wasn't a great Aiyuk didn't win. That's why I think it's one of the greatest catches of all time. He wasn't open. He didn't win. He made the catch anyway. Incredible catch. Incredible play. People always say that Brandon Aiyuk doesn't have like a signature play. Boom.
He's been incredible in this playoffs. Not quantity, but quality of catches. Right. He only has 6 catches the whole playoffs for 100 yards and a touchdown, but all of them have gone for either a first down or a touchdown, and all of them have been in some of the biggest leverage moments of the games. It's been incredible.
I just think it's interesting. Jimmy clearly thought Deebo was the best wide receiver on the team.
Yeah.
Purdy clearly thinks it's Aiyuk. He even said it. So when asked about that throw and why, he's like, look, I had one of my best. When you have the best receiver on the team one-on-one, you give him a chance. He said it. He like corrected himself. He was going to say one of the best. He's like, nah, let's just say it. The best. He is.
And I like that, honestly. Like, the 49ers have better players, especially at the skill spots, than pretty much everybody. So I like that if it's one-on-one, he's like, I'm throwing it. I like it. Now, I also famously remember Colin Kaepernick doing that in the championship game against the Seahawks. It resulted in an interception at the end of that game on first down. So he can get into trouble. But I like that he's willing to take the chance instead of saying, oh my God, it's not totally wide open. Things aren't perfect, so I can't throw it. I would rather have the other one.
I mean, if you take a chance, and in that case, he hit the guy in the face and it worked out. So it was worth it. But things can happen. Things can happen.
This Wilkes question.
If they lose and they give up a lot of points, maybe. I mean, what? Bill Belichick's hanging around. Like, you could say, look, I mean, we're not scapegoating him. We just have an opportunity to bring in an incredible defensive coordinator. But again, is it going to be one of these situations where it's like, look, Bill, we really respect what you've been doing for the last 30, 40 years, but we run the wide 9 here. So you're going to have to do what we tell you. Like, if that's what they're looking to do, what's the point of bringing in someone else just to run someone like, I don't know.
Bill is not going to.
No.
And he's not going to take a D coordinator. He's not going to be.
No. So I just don't see what the point. I think they're going to keep Wilkes.
Steph Sanchez brought up Belichick because somebody asked Kyle, like, are you going to get a defensive consultant? Are you going to talk to anybody or hire somebody? And Kyle was like, no. But we do know that Kyle and Bill know each other. They have a relationship. If I was Kyle Shanahan, I would give Bill Belichick a call and just say, hey, what are your thoughts on slowing down Mahomes? Or, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. Do you think it would work? Why not? You got the time, right? I mean, hell, you got to get on the.
Nah, man. He has us. I wore my quality control jacket. We're going to talk about how to slow down Mahomes and their offense in like 5 minutes. We got this. Don't worry about it. We'll save your money and your time. Let Bill Belichick retire.
David Sir, new YouTube channel, or not new, I should say, been a member for 16 months. If you want to become a YouTube channel member for my channel, the Gold Standard Network, it's less than $3 a month. You get custom emojis, membership badges, priority comment response. It's a great way to support the channel, so please consider doing that. Front Row says, crazy thing about Brock is he's an MVP finalist and hasn't had a real NFL offseason. His real year 1 to year 2 jump is coming to be this offseason. That's a fair point. He's actually going to be able to throw in this offseason. He was basically rehabbing for the entire offseason. I mean, he told Nick Bosa, I can be better. So maybe this is the quote-unquote worst version of Brock Purdy that we'll ever see.
Okay.
Why are you chortling? Why are you
the worst version of Brock Purdy that we're going to see? Him with a 113 rating. It's going to be the worst season he's had. I don't know, man. Maybe. You say some things that I don't want to argue with you about it. Like, you said it on camera. Like, this, people are going to remember this. Well, hey, that's fine. You made a choice. You're 38.
39.
I can't tell you not to say these things. It's your show.
39.
39.
But you can be older. You can be a better player and have worse statistics. Like, Patrick Mahomes is never going to throw 50 touchdowns again, but he's a better player now than he was when he threw 50 touchdowns.
I see what you mean.
Brother Bob says, Iglets, stop, leave stats alone, LOL. Never mind, do it.
We do this every morning. We have a good time. Every Wednesday morning. We have a good time.
Okie 49er, I'm not a believer in Purdy until he kicks the game-winning field goal in the Super Bowl. At that point,
I like that.
I do wonder.
I like that. Until he can throw a pass and catch it himself, he's not the MVP. Lamar did that.
I've never
seen. Now, he lost.
Right. That was a crazy play. Antonio.
But he was number 1 on SportsCenter, and that's what matters.
Aiyuk was pissed about that. Brady's career was built off lucky moments in the playoffs. Marlon McCree, Billy Cundiff scoring 13 in the Super Bowl twice, yet winning, playing Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson with one leg each, but Purdy gets trashed for it. Make it make sense.
No one is trashing Brock. We really got to stop. We really got to stop protecting him like he's 13. No one's trashing Brock. And everyone understands. People use that context against Brady forever.
Yes, they did.
Forever, man. This is what happens when you're the face of the NFL. You're going to be polarizing. Some people are going to think you get too much credit. Some people think you don't get enough credit. Like, embrace it. This has been LeBron's life for 20 years. It's good. You know what comes with this conversation? Money.
Well, he's going to get paid. Brady got it for the same reason that Brock gets it, though. 6th round pick, right? only got the job because of injury, right? They said he threw.
When Brock's 40, he's going to have like $1 billion.
Oh,
he'll be all right.
Philip David Davies says, "Can we run on the Chiefs' defense? Helps the passing game." All right, you want to get into the Chiefs offense?
Or going to talk about the other side of the ball? Stopping Mahomes.
Okay. Nardo mentions that article we talked about how spreadsheets coverage of Brock Purdy makes it easier for people to turn on him. You're doing the same thing, Rob. No, I'm not telling you Brock Purdy's Joe Montana. I'm telling you the performance he had is being looked at differently than if another quarterback had the exact same performance. That's what I'm saying. Anyway.
That's a good point, though. Like, because if it's someone that the national media had already agreed is great, then whatever that person does is amazing. And if so Brock hasn't gotten that. He hasn't achieved that status yet. You don't get that status until you have a ring, at least maybe 2. But once you're in that, like he's on the cusp of being freaking uncriticizable. But he's not there yet. He's not there yet.
If he throws for 300 yards but he throws a pick that costs them the game, people are going to trash him.
They will. But if he throws for 300 yards and throws a pick and they win, he'll be a made man.
Yes.
Made man. That's how it goes.
Jimmy Swan says Brock plays like Superman, looks like Clark Kent. That's absolutely true. Jose says if Brock
man, he looks like Peter Parker. Clark Kent was a grown-up. I'm sorry. Like he looks like he's in high school. Sorry.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So Clark Kent was a farm boy too. He's got the Superman body.
Big dude. Yeah. Yep.
If Brock throws a pick 6 in the fourth quarter, making the final score 28-34 Chiefs, like Peter Schrager predicted, I'm going to go off. Peter has predicted 5 Super Bowls. 5? Oh, for the Chiefs? Yeah.
He's predicting that? Yeah. What? So the Chiefs are the underdogs. I saw that Mahomes is 10-3 as an underdog.
Straight up. I don't know why the 49ers are favored in the game.
I don't get that. I don't get that at all. This is the defending champions.
Yeah.
They can be the favorite.
And I have scars, man. I remember 2019. I don't know if any other quarterback could have made that comeback that he made in 2019 in the Super Bowl. But anyway, all right.
Yeah.
We got more bets, but I want to make sure we get into what you want to talk about. The Chiefs offense.
Yeah.
49ers defense. What do you got for me?
Okay. So I think Niner fans are real familiar with what the offense looked like 4 years ago with Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. That was a way different offense. That was like an 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver type track meet offense. That's not what they do anymore in Kansas City. Like if you watch the game, the AFC Championship, they're very much a 2 tight end offense. They use this guy Noah Gray a lot. He had like 47 snaps on offense. They gave him 5 targets. He only had 8 yards. He's mostly a blocker. But what I think is interesting, they're much more of they're leveraging their power on offense. They have a good offensive line. They have 2 tight ends. Like they don't have a lot of talent at wide receiver. So they can watch the film of the NFC Championship game and watch what Detroit did. Detroit, everyone going to that game was like, how are they going to stop? How are they going to stop Jahmyr Gibbs? They can't set the edge. And yeah, they gave up those 2 touchdowns around the outside, but really the Lions had all this success with David Montgomery gouging in between the tackles. And it was from these 2 tight end formations or 6 offensive line for these heavy formations. And Steve Wilkes didn't really do anything to match up with them. He just used his wide 9. He used his regular front and kind of got overpowered. Now, the Lions really couldn't really do much with it. They didn't have the play action passing game to match with it. But the Chiefs can look at that and say, well, damn, like we can have success with that. We can run out of 2 tight ends for me, do that anyway. And if Steve Wilkes doesn't adjust, we can win this way. If he does, we can actually go over the top with Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's going to be more of the chess match here. Like, not necessarily the nickel and dime packages that the Niners had to play 4 years ago, but what kind of base packages are you going to play against this? How are you not going to get overwhelmed by the Chiefs' run game and play action game? It's a whole different setup now. I think it's kind of interesting. The Niners can stop it, but it's a different calculus.
I think that stopping Isaiah Pacheco is going to be huge for the 49ers. That's what worries me about the Chiefs offense. Mahomes is always going to be able to find Kelsey. Like it's impossible to stop that.
Yeah.
I think Pacheco, they're just going to pound him up the middle. And the thing about him that makes him so scary for me is even if you make contact with him after 1 or 2 yards, he always falls forward. He's always picking up 3, 4, 5 yards. That's going to put the Chiefs ahead of the sticks, make second and short, third and short, and trying to stop Mahomes on second and short is almost freaking impossible because he could throw it from anywhere. He could run it from anywhere. So I think slowing down Pacheco is job one for the 49ers. And I don't know. It's going to be a very tall task. Javon Hargrave and Javon Kinlaw and Eric Armstead are going to have to earn their money in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the success David Montgomery had against the Niners. Pacheco's quite similar, runs just as hard, built kind of similarly. I mean, I think you'd be a fool to look at that if you were Andy Reid and say, well, we got to at least try it. They're going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
They ran Pacheco 24 times in the AFC Championship game. They run the ball. And it's not like, shotgun zone read, little finesse runs. Like, no, we're going to push you.
Yep.
We're going to win the line of scrimmage. That's not who they were 4 years ago, but they have the personnel to do it. And so Steve Wilkes can't just throw out his wide nine. Like that's the thing about it. That's why I like this. Think about the wide nine. Everything has a weakness. The wide nine puts the defensive ends outside the tight ends. So if you do a 2 tight end formation, one on each side, you've widened out the wide nine as far as it can go. And now you've put extra space between the defensive tackles and the defensive ends. And you saw what Dave Montgomery did. It's the best way to run against the wide nine. And if you get gouged like that, Wilkes, you got to have another front than you could go to in the second quarter, not freaking halftime.
Well, that's
you know what I'm saying? So I'm curious to see what happens there. You saw you put it on film, you got gouged. What are you going to do? Because you know the Chiefs are coming for this.
That's the thing, is how quickly do you make the adjustment? I mean, the Niners only gave up 34 rushing yards in the second half. So
you need a 5-man front. If this is gouging you need a 5-man front. You can go to. Don't let this be the reason you lose the game. Isaiah Pacheco, he's good, but you can't lose because of a running back. You have the better running back
in every game you play.
You can't lose because of Pacheco. So this on Wilkes. As someone asked earlier, is this his last game with the Niners? I mean, if he lets Pacheco go for 150 and 3 touchdowns,
well, then they have no shot to win.
The Niners are giving up 158 in the ground per game in the playoffs. Like that can't. The 5.6 yards per carry you got to stop this. It's coming.
And Pacheco had 24 carries against the Ravens in the AFC Championship. He had a long of 12. So
Ravens are tough.
Averaged 2.8 yards per carry, but the Chiefs kept giving him the ball. So that's definitely going to be something that it comes down to in the
Someone said they can't go over the top. Dude, they have Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's fast. Like I'm just saying, like he'll get 2 targets in this game. And he might catch one of them, and that's a 50-yard catch. So you got to honor it. But he's not a big factor.
Keith Murphy, the Unbeaten YouTube channel member, says, I think some of this is on Kyle. The opening script, which is usually Kyle's strength, has been lacking. Settle Brock down with short passing game and runs. Kyle's dropping Brock back like he's Mahomes. He's a second-year quarterback. Look, the Niners scored more points on their opening drive this year than any team in NFL history. And I get it. There's 17 games, so that does help. But they have been great on the opening script, but not in the playoffs. In the playoffs, they have not had as effective an opening offense. And I would like to see them, start fast. They have not started fast in the playoffs. They have really taken their time to get that locomotive moving down the track.
Chiefs have been starting fast. You don't want to play from behind against the Chiefs.
Let's get shot out of a cannon here. That would be good.
Yeah.
Chris Waddell says, you guys should do a quarterback draft of all the ones you'd pick over Brock to start a team with. Curious where he would end up on that list. He'd be down the list a little ways for me.
7 or 8, 9, something like that. I mean, although like 2 weeks ago, I was thinking I'd rather start a team with Jordan Love than Brock Purdy. Now I'm like, I don't know. Jordan Love crumbled in a playoff game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time I think, for guys to develop in the playoff. Like Brock Purdy already has among the top of the most playoff wins for a quarterback his age, because it's hard to win in the playoffs, man. Even like Peyton Manning, he went to 4 Super Bowls. He didn't really do that great his first time through the playoffs. It takes time. It takes experience. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to jump too harshly to criticize Jordan Love because his first year as a starter. Like what Brock is doing is not normal. So
Can I make a plea to Niners Nation and fans and pundits everywhere? Like I understand Brock's the number 1 topic in the league and he might be the face of the NFL. But this Niners team is so much bigger than Brock, and the narratives and the storylines are so much bigger than whether he's getting enough credit. Like this team might win their 6th Lombardi trophy, and it's McCaffrey, it's Bosa, it's Debo, it's so many guys. I think we get a little fixated on this one conversation, which is kind of a meta conversation. It's a conversation about the conversation about Brock Purdy. It's fine, But we also need to give like the whole team its due, because this is they're 2 weeks away from being an all-time great team.
Yes.
All-time great.
All-time great and an
all-time great team.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not just the Brock Purdy team, man. It's all of them.
And that's why I want them to win so damn bad, because if they don't, they will be forgotten. And this team should never be forgotten.
That's true. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
JCG 1987. One of Brock's biggest accomplishments is making the Jimmy defenders like me see the light. You two were right all along. Yeah, I do feel good about that. Not gonna lie. I feel like we did return to sanity with Jimmy Garoppolo.
It does kind of feel like the Niners deserve it this year. Like they've been the kind of the consensus best team all year, while the Chiefs messed around, played kind of crappy all year, and then turned it on. You shouldn't be able to do that in sports, but you can. They can.
I mean, and they've won too. So like the Niners always had the hunger. The Chiefs won, and for a lot of guys, like, dude, it's not the same when you've already got the ring. Not everybody is wired to be able to come back and want the next one year after year. Like Tom Brady, which ring is your favorite? The next one. Not everybody.
I got a hot take prediction. If the Chiefs win this game, Andy Reid retires.
It's not a lot of people have said that. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Andy Reid, why would you retire, dude? You're chasing down.
I know. Like, why would you walk away and let someone else?
But it's a hard life, man. It's a hard life. It's long hours. It's stress.
Yeah.
And I get it. If you're Andy Reid, like, I understand. Josh Wyatt says, Grant, you need to stop with the drop pick narrative. Brock is a top-rated quarterback in EPA and turnover-worthy plays. Every quarterback has drop picks.
Okay. Well, okay, hold on again. This will be determined whether this is an issue in the Super Bowl. And that's what I think is interesting about the past. I was talking about this with my dad. The past is open to interpretation just like the future. If he throws a couple picks and the Niners lose in the Super Bowl, you'll look back on the previous two games and be like, well, it was there. He got lucky. He didn't get so lucky in the Super Bowl. Luck catches up with you. Or he protects the football beautifully in the Super Bowl, wins the game, and you're like, well, that was a whole bunch of nothing. It's just like training camp interceptions. Didn't matter. So we'll see. We don't know yet.
And it's not just about dropped interceptions or interceptions. It's also about what do you do with the other drives? Like, barring a disaster, he's not going to throw 4 picks, we hope, right? If you're also throwing touchdowns, the interception, like, not every interception is as backbreaking. It also depends on what you do on the other drive. Brock threw a pick in this game. Guess what? He threw a touchdown. He led the team down. He also did other good, successful things that helped mitigate that. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Brother Bob is back. Says, Stats, why do you care so much about what the media thinks? I don't like inconsistency. I don't like when we treat quarterbacks differently than we've treated any other quarterback. That's why I was so fired up about the Trey Lance thing, because I've never seen a quarterback drafted 3rd overall only get 4 career starts before he's shipped out of town. That's what bothered me about it. So that's
Let me ask you a question. Is there a quarterback? I don't know the answer. Is there a quarterback in the NFL who hasn't won a Super Bowl who is scrutinized less than Brock, who gets more benefit of the doubt without a Super Bowl? I mean, Lamar gets a ton of scrutiny, man.
Lamar gets a ton of scrutiny. Justin Herbert gets a lot of praise for someone that has been not really in the playoffs that much.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. All right. So Justin, and again, because he's 6'5" and he looks more the part, and he can throw a ball on a line. Okay, fair enough. Good answer.
Dustin the Eagle or the Gale, I don't know, says, Grant, did you notice Brock wore his hat forward after the Ravens game at the press conference, wondering if he realized it was a joke or not? He's definitely aware of that. Like, you asked him about it, so he's clearly aware of it. Harold McAllister says if the 49ers can muster some run defense, they'll win the game. That includes Mahomes scrambling. The Mahomes scrambling thing is and this is what actually I said after the NFC Championship. Brock's running in that game reminded me of Mahomes, because when Mahomes runs, he breaks your back. When they need 6, it's 7. Yeah. When they need 4, he finds a way to get 5, no matter what's going on around him. That's what Brock did. Now, Brock ended up breaking off some longer runs, but that's what was so critical about those, is that they were must-have, gotta-have plays, and he scrambled and got them.
And I think that's what makes Brock cool and Mahomes cool. People act like the Chiefs don't have weapons. Mahomes is a weapon. Him scrambling is one of their best plays. Purdy scrambling is one of the Niners' best plays. That's another thing that is why he makes the Niners so much better. He's a weapon.
Yeah. You got to.
He is a weapon.
I like too that like he sort of had this outlier performance from a scrambling perspective right before the Super Bowl. Because now if you're the Chiefs, you're like, well, we can't totally ignore it, right? We have to pay some attention to it. And Kyle talked about that a lot with Trey Lance about how the threat of a run will force defenses to play you differently. That's going to give you more options as a passer. And so if the Chiefs are doing things to account for Brock as a runner, that hopefully can open things up from a passing perspective. And let's be honest, really, Brock wants to throw. He doesn't want to run most of the time. And so hopefully that's just one little wrinkle that works in the 49ers.
A killer, but don't push him is what you're saying. It's like, yeah, man. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, it's different coverages. So 2-man coverage, 2 deep, man underneath. Can you call that against Brock? As a defensive coordinator, I would not call that against Brock Purdy because he'll scramble on that. You have all these guys turning and chasing. No one's spying him. 2 safeties real deep. He could get you for 20, 30 yards. I wouldn't call that. And so when you have a quarterback who's mobile like that, starts restricting things you can call, that's good. That's good. Jimmy couldn't. I mean, you could play 2-man all freaking day against Jimmy.
Yeah, no, he was just never going to run. And by the way, the last scramble that Brock had, the third of those 3, Detroit did have a linebacker spying him. They had a guy that was spying Brock Purdy. He outran him. That was he beat the spy. So
really what you should do against Brock is not blitz and probably don't play man-to-man coverage and play zone. Try to take away that intermediate middle of the field. And that's what Baltimore did. Baltimore showed blitz, but they didn't bring a ton of pressure. They just basically played coverage, zone coverage, and said, we think we know where you're going to throw. Prove us wrong. And he didn't. Now, maybe he learned his lesson, but I think that's what I would try to do. Like, see if he has learned his lesson or see if he wants to be Brock Gunslinger that day. I don't know.
Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs D coordinator, is like the best big game defensive coordinator in
He's
the
good. He's quite good.
Beat the Patriots. Spagnuolo was the defensive coordinator. That's why I think the Chiefs went out and got him, because who do they need to beat in the AFC? Tom Brady. So they literally went out and got the guy.
And he's very like games plan specific. Doesn't have just like one scheme that he'll do. He'll look at what your weaknesses are and try to go after them.
He's gonna have something ready for Brock. Official B&A Music says, are we getting Chase Young or Walk Young?
I love that. That's what. Sorry, Chase. That's your new name. It's Walk.
There are some plays, man, where you're like, dude, like you're in the NFC Championship game. Like
you're in a contract here, man. You're costing yourself money.
What are you doing? David Santa, YouTube channel member, says, did Purdy win the NFC Championship game MVP? I wonder why they never announced it. Do you know? Is that an award? Is that an award?
It's an award. Is that an award?
It's not like it's not like the championship series in baseball where they do.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Hold on. NFC Championship MVP?
Yeah, I don't think that's it. I'm pretty sure it's
Sportskeeda. Is there an MVP? Fact check. Is there an MVP in an AFC NFC Championship game? Trying to read really fast. I don't know. It's cool. I have an answer to it, and then you like scroll through it. And you're like, there's not going to be an answer, is there? Sorry.
That's all right.
I went to UCLA, but I read at a 4th grade level. I'm not reading.
Okay. James Welsh says, Herbert's incredibly talented and has bad coaches. Watch his success level up under Harbaugh. We'll see. Like, but that's a classic example. Herbert is a guy.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah. And so we make a lot of excuses for Justin Herbert. And when you just look at the facts of what has taken place on the field, we don't usually make excuses for guys that have that kind of track record. So we'll see what he does under Harbaugh. Chris Waddell says Cousins and Trevor Lawrence. Kirk Cousins less so, but he doesn't get killed. Widely considered top 5 to 7 quarterbacks in the league. Lawrence is way overrated, in my honest opinion. I agree that Trevor Lawrence is overrated.
Lawrence is a good call. Kirk Cousins gets crushed.
Yes.
All the time.
And I think Cousins
he's nitpicked to death.
Cousins was balling out this year. He was leading the league in yards, touchdown passes when he got hurt. Like he was killing it.
So good against the Niners. He was so good against the Niners, and he didn't have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, he was surgical against them. And I feel like, honestly, like that's the thing that we've seen with the Niners. Whenever their defense like gets into trouble, we've seen they're always in soft zone coverage. And what did Steve do in the second half of the Lions game? Man coverage. Put Fred and Dre Greenlaw at the line of scrimmage at the snap so that the quarterback has to spend that second or two figuring out who's coming and who's dropping into coverage. That gives the defensive line more time to pressure the quarterback, which makes them uncomfortable, which makes it easier on the secondary. Every time the 49ers bow up on defense, I feel like that's what they do for the most part.
Also, it doesn't seem like they do a whole lot on defense this year.
Yeah,
Maybe they rush 4. They play zone. And when things go bad, maybe they'll switch it up and play a little man coverage, but they don't do much. They're kind of a passive, conservative, vanilla defense with a lot of talent. But I don't know, man. Maybe this is Steve Wilks' last game. He's going against Andy Reid with 2 weeks to prepare. This could get ugly. Remember, the last time the Niners faced this team, they gave up 44 points, and it was a very similar Chiefs team. They had Juju in that game. Now they have Rashee Rice, who I think is better than Juju. Different offensive linemen, but Niners going to have a real good plan here.
They gave up all those points, and it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. It was 28-23 Chiefs with 14 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden, like it got out of hand real fast. One thing I did want to give Wilks credit.
I don't think the Chiefs. Hold on. I don't think the Chiefs punted in that game. I know they had a pick on the first drive, and they averaged 9 yards a play. So the Niners going to have to do a little better.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think you're right about that game. Wilks has shown at times that he can dial up some stuff, though. Like on the second 4th down play against the Lions, they did an awesome job of making Detroit think that they were in man coverage when they actually were in zone coverage. Detroit had Gibbs lined up wide, and Greenlaw was on him all the way at the top of the screen. And then they motioned Gibbs to try and get the tell on the defense, like, is it zone coverage? Is it man coverage? And Greenlaw went with Gibbs, and everybody was lined up over a receiver. And so it looked like it was man coverage. And then they snapped the ball.
That was cool.
Zone coverage. And Jared Goff was like, oh, shoot, I just checked to my man beater play. And then he had to scramble out, and there was pressure, and he ultimately threw an incomplete pass. So
give Wilks credit for that.
Yes,
for sure.
He can it up a little bit, and I think he's going to have to do that against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
I think I think he feels his hands are tied a little bit. Like, he was calling pressure early in the year, and Nick Bosa would go out in the post-game press conference and be like, "Yeah, I don't know, we're sort of a four-man rush team." So does he get overruled by certain players or people who have more standing, make more money than him? I don't know. Because in the past, he had all kind of different tendencies. He had a 5-man line. He would bring pressure all the time. I don't know.
He had an interesting comment earlier this year when they, because he went through all that. And remember, what he got in trouble for was blitzing, the 0 blitz against the Vikings. That was the big,
right.
It was him being aggressive. It wasn't soft zone coverage. It was the one time I said, you should have been in soft zone coverage because the Vikings didn't have any timeouts. But Steve Wilks said, at the beginning of the year, he didn't change the defense enough, and that's why they got into trouble. And I think that kind of makes sense, right? Because the Niners didn't change the scheme. They wanted it to be the same scheme, and I think other teams were like, well, we've got another year to study your scheme. You're kind of predictable now. And so, according to Wilks anyway, the Niners defense got back on track when he did change it and tweak things and put his own spin on it. So I don't know
he hasn't really stopped the run all year. He did a good job in the second half against the Lions, but if he sells out like that to stop the run against the Chiefs, no one. That's the whole thing about the Chiefs right now. Everyone realized, like, they had Tyreek Hill. They got bombarded with these 2 deep safety looks, and they're like, well, teams are just going to back off and take away the deep. Like, let's run the ball. And because no one's going to play it in the box against Patrick Mahomes. Like, these run plays are wide open. And so far, I mean, they won a Super Bowl like that last year. So we'll see.
It's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out. The Stride Abides says, prediction: Brock wins Super Bowl MVP. Tom Holland puts on 60 pounds of muscle in the offseason, plays Purdy in a movie titled God, How Do I Manage? Tom Holland could play Brock Purdy in a movie. He absolutely could.
And he actually should play Brock Purdy. Is he Spider-Man too?
Yeah, he's Spider-Man.
There you go. Yes, Tom Holland. Is he the one that's going out with Zendaya?
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
It's really ridiculous how much they look like one another.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Like and subscribe to both YouTube channels, everybody. The Gold Standard YouTube channel, Grant Cohn's YouTube channel. Both of us are going to be in Vegas next week. So we're going to have all sorts of content for you and videos. So you want to like and subscribe to both channels. If you click the little bell, you'll get notified every time we go live, and you're definitely going to want to do that. Grant.
Yeah.
I look forward to actually meeting you face to face next week.
You're tall, aren't you? No, you're not. You said you're 5'10"?
Yeah, that's tall.
I thought you'd be. You look. I just assume you're like 6'4". I don't know why.
Who says that?
I don't know why. I don't know. So I'm taller than you. Okay, that's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to being a little bit taller than you in person.
You could say it. You're looking forward to looking down on me. I know you
just
were going to
2 inches. 2 inches. I'm gonna. What's up, Rob? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Sure, I'll be the Brock Purdy of content creators. That's fine.
I'll be the Jared Goff.
All right, so I'll have to make you move then. So then you'll totally just go into the tank. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Go Nine.